China will probably come out on top in the end, but I want to go back to the militants of the Middle East, the militants, because you told me COVID has helped the intelligence services of the Middle East to track Iranian trained militants. You told me about this?
Oh, let's talk about this.
I mean, listener, this is very interesting. So much so that when Eamon told me, I thought, come on, can this actually be true? You're making this up. You're a Saudi shill. You hate the Iranians. This can't be true. How has COVID-19 exposed Iranian militancy?
If you think about it, there were many citizens of the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, living in Iran without informing their countries. And of course, the pretext was that they were students in religious seminaries. Of course, that is yet to be determined if it's true or not. So they, of course, panicked when the places where they were became infected heavily with COVID-19, and they wanted to go back home because the Iranian health system is collapsing, already as it is, treating Iranian citizens. What about them? So the Iranians encouraged them basically just board a plane and go back home and get treatment there. Do not clog our system. How very loyal of the Iranians, huh? So they were put on planes and they were sent back. So this is when the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Bahrainis, the Emiratis, all of them immediately accused Iran of attempting to spread the COVID-19 to them because they did not inform them that there are people with symptoms on the planes.
I see. So they were thinking it was like biological warfare or something.
Almost. So when they landed, the Saudis in particular came up with a very ingenious way to determine what these people were doing in Iran, especially that their passports do not show any entry or exit from Iran.
So already they're entering Iran under false pretext. They're not,
Exactly.
they don't want the authorities to know they're going there.
Yeah. So what happened is when the Saudis were going to their homes, with the medical teams to test them for COVID-19, they were all already doing another kind of test. This test is called GSR for those in forensics. They know that this means gunshot residue. So gunshot residue means that if you have fired AK-47s or pistols or any kind of weapon, basically, in the past several weeks, there will be, residue on your hands. And there was a significant percentage in the 80% of those tested, even among females, who, coming back from Iran, tested positive for gunshot residue. They were telling them, we will just swap your hands, just to see for any, viral or bacterial infection in your skin. But in reality, they were looking at whether they shot weapons. And so the idea is, were you there for training? Were you there in a military training camp in Iran? Because Iran has always been training people from these countries and keep them there as sleeper cells for the time when the Mahdi, the Messiah, appear, and so there will be his soldiers well trained.
So COVID
already
exposed the fact that these pan-Gulf and perhaps even pan-regional militant networks are still happening. Training is still going on in Iran. People are going to Iran and they're learning how to fire guns and how to be effective urban guerrilla militants, etc. That's still happening.
Yeah, it's still happening, unfortunately, and COVID-19 exposed it. So you can bet everything that the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and of course, basically all the other Gulf countries, with the exception of Qatar, basically, and Oman, will be strained at the moment with Iran.